Okay, so we have a question here. We've been given information about a company with two production departments, Department X and Y, and we've got two service departments, stores and maintenance. So these are their total overheads. Okay, and then estimated work done to the other departments by these service departments. So for stores, on Department X, 50%, Department Y, 30%, on maintenance, 20%. We have maintenance on Department X, 45%, Department Y, 40%, and on stores, 15%. So we have the question here: reapportion the overheads of the service departments using number one, the repeated distribution method, number two, the algebraic method, number three, the step down method. So here we're going to be using the repeated distribution method. So this is how we're going to do it. So I'll convert these percentages to decimals. Stores, this 50% becomes 0.5. This 30%, oh, Excel doesn't want to convert them into decimals. We just convert them here in advance. 0.5, 30%, 0.3, 0.2, 0.45, 0.4, and 0.15. Okay, now we can take this to Excel, then we can do the repeated distribution method. Okay, I'll get this information here. Okay, so here with the repeated distribution method, you're going to be continuously redistributing the overheads from both these service departments to the production departments until the number reduces to zero on both sides. All right, so first thing that we need to do here, we're going to put, this is our primary distribution. These are the total overheads of each department. Okay, so we can start with the apportionments. So we can start by apportioning maintenance department. So say apportion. So to apportion is just to share the overhead. Apportionment of maintenance. So the amount for maintenance department is 50,000. This is the amount that we're going to apportion to stores, Department Y and Department X. So here we're going to put a minus 50,000. Okay, so that we get rid of this 15,000. All right, so production department maintenance does 45% work on it. So we're going to save 45% of 15,000. We get 6,750. For department Y, maintenance does 40% work on it. So we're going to say 15,000 times 0.4. We get 6,000. Then on stores, it's 15% here, the 0.15. So multiply 15% by 15,000. All right, so we have reapportioned the overhead for maintenance. So what we need to do now is first we now get our new totals. Okay, so if you add 15,000 plus negative 15,000, you get 0. Add 20,000 plus 2,250, you get 22,250. So here we add 30 plus 6,000, that's 6,000. Then 50 plus 6,750, we get 56,750. Okay. Now, the next thing we need to do is we need to reapportion the amount for stores. This is 22,550. So I'll be highlighting the amounts that need to be reapportioned. Okay. So here, this 22,250 has to be reapportioned back to Department Y, Department X, and back to maintenance. The repeated distribution method, like the other methods where here would have just distributed from stores back to X and Y and ended, you have to redistribute back to the other service department. So here we see apportionment of stores. So the amount we are reapportioning is this 22,250. So we present it as a negative 22,250. Okay, so we come to here to this information for stores. So stores gives production department 50% of the work. So we're going to say 50% multiplied by 22,250. We get that. Then stores gives 30% of its works to department Y. So it's a 0.3 multiplied by 22,250. You get 6,675. Then stores applies 20% work to maintenance. So it's a 20% of 22,250. You get 4,450. So next thing we need to do is we need to get our new totals. So here we're going to say 56,750 plus. This is 11,125. Here we're going to say 36,000 plus 6,675, 42,675. And here we're going to say 22,250 plus this negative 22,250, we get 0. And then here we're going to say 0 plus 4,450, we get 4,450. So we have to repeat the process again. This time it's this 4,450 which we need to reapportion from maintenance back to service, department Y and department X. So you put here negative 4,450. This is the amount we need to reapportion. So we're going to say apportionment of maintenance. Okay, so we still use the same information here from our table. So stores gets 45%. So I say 45% of 4,450. We get that 2,002.5 Department Y gets 40%, so say 40% of 4,450, 1,708. Then service department gets 15%, so it's a 15% of 4,450, 667.5. So we get our new totals. So we add for department X 67,875 plus this. Department X 42,675 plus 1,780. Service department, you're going to say 0 plus 667.5. You get 668. And then for the maintenance department, you say 4,450 plus negative 4,450. You get 0. Okay, so the process continues until all the values will eventually end up to 0. So now again to apportion to stores. Okay, so the amount you need to reapportion is this 668. So you put here negative 668. It has to be reapportioned back to the other departments. So we come here for stores. Okay, and department X gets 50%. So it says 0.5 multiplied by 668. You get that 333.75. Department X gets 30%. You get 202.5. And maintenance department gets 20%. 20% of this amount, we get 133.5. Okay, then we get our new totals again. So for department X, 69,878 plus 333.75, you get 70,211. Department Y, we do this 44,455 plus 200.25, you get that. Then here we're going to say 668 plus negative 668. 668 plus negative 668. I don't know why it's giving me 1. You're supposed to get a 0. We'll put a 0 here. Then 0 plus 133.5, you get 133.5. Okay, so the process continues. Next, we now need to reapportion this 133.5 from maintenance back to the other departments. The apportionment of maintenance. So you put it here as negative 133.5. So we come back to our information here. Department X gets 45% of the amount. So say 45% of this 133.5. We get that. Then we say department Y gets 40%. So we say 40% of 133.5. We get that. Then stores gets 15%. 15% of 133.5. We get 20.25. So notice the numbers are reducing. Eventually they're going to reach 0. Right? So next thing we need to do, we need to get our totals. Okay, so For department X, 70,211 plus 60.07. Here we get department Y, 44,655 plus 53.4. Get this. Stores department 0 plus 20.025 should get 20.025. Then 133.5 plus negative 133.5, we get 0. So now we need to reapportion this amount for stores. So again, we're going to say apportionment for stores. So we're going to put here negative 20.025. So for stores, department X gets 50%. Department Y gets 30%. And maintenance is going to get 20%. All right, so we get our new totals. Department X, department Y, 44,709 plus 6.0075. Then for stores, 20.025 plus 20.025, you get 0. Then for maintenance, you're going to say 0. 0 plus 4.005. You get 4.005. So this 4.005 is the amount that needs now to be reapportioned back to the other departments. So here you're going to put negative 4.005. So here we're saying reapportionment of maintenance. Okay, so stores gets 45%. Department X gets 45%. This amount from maintenance, you get 1.8. Department Y gets 0.4. Then stores gets 15%. Yes, we get 0.6007. So we get our new totals. Here we get 0. Maintenance, we get 0. For stores, 0 plus 0.06 is 0.601. Here we get 70,000 plus 1.80225. Here we get 44,715 plus 1.602. Okay, so finally, no, I wouldn't say finally yet, but this is the next amount that we need to reapportion. This is 0.6, say minus 0.601. Okay, If it was just flat, if it was a flat zero here, we would have ended it, okay? But we just want it to be zero. Okay, so going to apportion this 0.601. So apportionment of stores. Okay, so stores, Department X gets 50%. So it's a 50% of this amount, 0.601. So that Department Y gets 30%. So it's a 30%. This is 0.601, 0.18. Then maintenance gets 20%, 20% of this gets 0.012. Okay, we get our new totals. Department Y, 44,716 plus 0.18. You get 0.601 plus negative 6.601. It's 0. And here we get 0 plus 0.1205. So we need to apportion this. This is the apportionment of maintenance. Okay, so Department X gets 45%. So it's a 0.45 multiplied by this amount. Department Y gets 40%. The stores will get 15%. Here you're going to put negative 0.12015. Get our new totals. All right. Then we need now to reapportion this 0.018. Okay, so stores gets 50%. Department Y gets 40%. And maintain stores is going to get, that's going to get 20%. Okay, so we get our new totals. Basically, we can end here because the overhead is really significantly small. This 0.003, it's really small. So this is where we can end. All right. So these are the new overheads for Department X and department Y, 70,284 and 44,760. Now let me just change the decimal places on my to two decimal places, because we would have ended, I think, even earlier if we put it to two decimal places. Okay, if we put it to two decimal places, yes, we can end it here. Okay, so what I would advise is put it to two decimal places or one decimal place if you want, so that eventually you can end the process. Because then the bigger the decimal places, the more it's going to take for you to finish this process. Okay, so here, as you can see, we have zero here and we have zero here. You end when both service departments have a balance of zero and zero.